All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome in NorCal Sports Network, a little off-season Giants talk. And Dallas Helliker joins us, and we'll be talking about the Giants tonight, what they may do, what they could do, and what they should do. So, and just to top it off, just to let you know, we will have San Francisco Giants second baseman Casey Schmidt join the show tomorrow night. That's right. Right here.
Unbelievable.
Keep that dial tuned right here. Casey Schmidt will be with us tomorrow night. But first, let us thank our sponsor for tonight's show. Let's see, who would that be? You got it, Chapman Law Group. Give Chapman Law Group a call for all your legal needs. 415-613-9483. Make sure you give David Chapman and his group a call for that personal injury that might pop up, or your friend or someone, your loved one you know. Let them know David Chapman will get them top dollar, and there is no fee, no recovery, no fee for personal injury. So make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call. All right, Dallas, let's turn the band off, shall we? Let me see. Where's my band? There we are. We'll get him at the end of the show, as always. Maybe we'll have a little Tony victory at the end. I don't know. We welcome all of you guys into the show. There's our one and only top moderator, Mark Gravy Graves. And Babe Rock says, woo-hoo. San Francisco Giants baseball. And happy Veterans Day to all who served, says Epicura. We will second that, and for sure. Thank you to everyone out there that served our amazing country. And Truth says he was on a Dodgers Blue podcast telling the Dodger homos to come over to a real podcast, NorCal Sports. All right. Way to go, Don.
We need as many of those Dodgers people as possible.
And Epicura seconds that for sure. He needs some love over here. NorCal Sports Talk Live. We'll talk to him tonight about some of his posts on Twitter that he followed up with me. I'll bring those up. Remind me of that. John Shea just wrote an article about trading Eldridge once again. Mainstream writers are months, years behind NorCal Sports Network. This channel truly is tomorrow's news today. Yeah, well, thank you. We appreciate that. Look, there's a lot of Giants content creators out there. They're growing. Some bring you some good news, some legitimate stuff. Others, I don't know. Seems like just a lot of talk, but I watched one today. Logan Webb was a guest on the new show by F.P. Santangelo and Susan Slusser. Let me see if I can do a Susan Slusser imitation. Jeez, she was like, I thought I was at an eye test.
I just listened to it. I didn't watch the
Oh, yeah, you'll have to watch it. It's hilarious. I'm like, obviously she's never been on, like, not used to being like on a podcast versus behind a mic.
Behind a typewriter.
Yeah, or a typewriter. Yeah, just, but gee, she doesn't add a lot of content or credibility to anything, in my opinion. But
there was some interesting things on there with the interview with Webb, though. I thought it was interesting how he talked about his strikeout totals being up this year. Because he went from the third worst pitcher in baseball to the Gold Glove, the best defensive pitcher, because he was able to hold runners on, and then he talked about his going from mediocre strikeout totals to leading the National League in strikeouts. And he attributed that to Verlander, giving him some tips about how to, you better use his changeup on getting people out, trying to maintain his fastball velocity later in the game, trying to keep it from dipping down into the 92 range, keep it up at 94, 95 a little bit longer. So that was a pretty interesting interview, I thought.
I thought it was too, Dallas. And, we're always learning something, right? You learn some things. They say you learn something new every day. Well, I learned something new today that I really never considered about the Gold Glove Award for a pitcher. I didn't realize that keeping runners from stealing on you was something they factored in. I always thought it was just like, hey, he fields his position well,
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, I did not know that either. But that makes sense. But then Logan Webb was also talking about how, if you can hold runners on and be more efficient at that, you end up saving yourselves 8, 9, 10 runs a season. So your earned run average is significantly lower because those runs aren't coming around to score. So it's pretty interesting there too.
And he was one of the worst in the league at it a few years ago, and then he became like one of the best, maybe the best. I think they were saying this year. So
and it came down to a lot of knowing what your tells are, and being able to make sure that you're not broadcasting what the pitch is going to be. So you maintaining the same routine every pitch. You do the same exact thing. You have a system where you're always like a robot, always doing the exact same action. And that way they can't pick up little things like, oh, when he does this, he's going to throw a changeup.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that really struck me that is not out there yet, that to my knowledge, I have not heard anybody talk about this. I looked up, but there's a spot in that video. I wonder if I could play it off my phone. I don't know if I can because it's off another channel, but other people always play stuff off YouTube channels. But anyway, he talked about, people coming back, and he talked about Boch, and then he said, oh yeah, Dusty. And he said saves.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
I heard that.
You heard it too. I'm like,
I thought maybe we got a little piece of information that we don't know about. I think we did. Yet.
I think we got a piece of information that's not out there yet, that Brian Sabean is coming back to the San Francisco Giants in an advisory role to the front office.
It sounded like that to me. And they didn't pick up on it.
They didn't pick up on it. Maybe they kind of said, oh, maybe we shouldn't touch that.
Right, because maybe he misspoke or whatever, but I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and I think it must be happening if he said it. Why would he say that?
I don't know.
He said
Sabes.
He said Sabes. And he's not talking about Blake Sable. I don't think.
Blake Sable, is he coming back?
Blake Sable is back in the organization. No, I think it's interesting. So
yeah, I picked up on that too. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and Brian Sabean was known for trading away top prospects.
Yeah.
So, and there is that article,
and Webb did mention that he knew about the hiring of Vitello a couple of days before, so maybe he knows about Brian Sabean a few days before. Yeah,
they asked him the question, something about, do they talk to you a little bit about the what's going on? He kind of vaguely said, yeah, and then he said, not like the previous regime,
which was
Farhan.
I found that interesting also, that Farhan was going and talking to all the players about, what do you think about signing this guy?
Yeah. And he said Buster keeps things a little bit more private, but I have a feeling some things were let out to Logan Webb. He probably is I would say he's the trusted clubhouse leader by the organization because of his tenure.
Right.
Brian Sabian is back. That's what we think. So you heard it here on NorCal Sports Network.
It's a rumor at this point.
It's a rumor, but so yeah, Forever Giants coming back. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe
but you're only going to get that here because we are keenly attuned to Susan Slessor's podcast.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the possibilities out there. You know, the rumors are out there. They're going to be getting greater every day. I did a video today on the Dodgers and said Tucker, and I mentioned Kenley Jansen. Now, I recorded it the night before. I wish I would have heard the rumor, but it sounds like Edwin Diaz. I mentioned his name, but I didn't think he would be a candidate. But it now sounds like he is the leading candidate to end up with the Dodgers. That the Dodgers, and it makes sense. Why wouldn't he? He's the best reliever. They don't care about the money. It's not even a factor in their thinking like, oh, wait a minute. Can we afford that? Can we put him into the budget? Doesn't matter the budget.
I read that they have $87 million coming off their payroll this year with Kershaw and Conforto.
That doesn't equal 87, those two.
But there's a few other guys, too.
There's got to be a few other guys, yeah. Yeah. So lots of people saying Tucker will be this or that. I see some comments that Tucker to the Phillies, Tucker to the Yankees. I think Tucker's a Dodger.
Taylor, Kirby Yates.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. George Curry says, Sabian coming back is cool. Outside of Jim Barr and Dick Tidrow drafting three great pitchers, Buster Posey, we drafted poorly every year. Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough draft. I mean, Sabian hit it in the, the first first decade of this century, right? And, that's when they hit Lincecum, Kane, Posey, Bumgardner, Belt, Crawford. I mean, that was the nucleus of the 3 world championships. So they hit it good there. Going forward after that, also Wheeler was in there too. So they really, really hit well. The Giants hit well, but then after that, they did not do great drafting. But now the Giants, here's where the Giants, in my opinion, are heading, guys. They're bringing in Tony Vitello for a particular reason, not just because he won at college and he's a great communicator, but they like his style of baseball. They like his style of hard-nosed, fundamental, analytics are involved. When we say analytics, it's not just, swinging at this pitch. It's physiology too. These guys are going to have to get their bat speeds up. And to get their bat speed up, there are certain physiology exercises that need to be done. And they are going to get him involved in the type of hitting instructor they bring in. Bat speed's going to be critical. So we'll see where this team goes. Now, Dallas, there was talk of this with Vitello today all over the news media with former manager Joe Madden. I'm sure you've heard the comments. Yeah. In fact, give us your thoughts on that, and I'll see if I can pull that up.
Well, he basically said that he was a little bit insulted by the fact that someone can come into a managerial role without having to put the time in that he put in. Now, he's a guy that spent 20 years not managing, but coaching and working his way up through the ranks. And and eventually was a very, very successful manager. But I don't think that he personally feels that Vitello has paid his dues with the same type of coaching, track, but in the college ranks. So Vitello has, he definitely put in his years of service time in the college ranks, but not in the pros. And Madden said, he wasn't a big fan of that, but he does, wish him the best. And and I guess I could see that, people that I think that is maybe an opinion that you might have from some, baseball lifers that have been in the major league ranks for such a long time. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, is that a transition he's going to be able to make? And it's going to be a wait and see type of thing. We're going to have to see how this team starts to gel at the beginning of the season, and how these players respond to that energy that he brings. And nothing is set in stone as far as how this is all going to work out. But the fact that they have Dusty Baker, they have Bruce Bochy, they have the bench coach. What's his name?
Jace Tingler. Yeah.
With managerial experience just sitting right next to him, I think they're trying to ease the transition as much as possible for Vitello coming into the big leagues. So I don't think that Madden sounded mad per se, but but when he used the word insulted, that's kind of a incendiary word. And so it did move the needle as far as reactions to it.
Right. Yeah. And I'm having trouble signing into my Twitter. What the heck's going on here?
Well, you sign into that. I'm going to make sure that my hot stove is heated up here.
All right. There we go. Yeah. Gosh, I can't get the thing going. Anyway, I hate that when the computer changes. I've always just open up Twitter. Now I've got to do this crazy signing in again, and it's not taking my username. I know what my username is, but somehow I'm not getting in there. So we'll and I don't know.
Well, that's all right. So that was the long and short of it, but I think there was quite a bit of coverage of his comments today on KMBR this morning with Murph and Marcus.
Yeah, that was pretty much the gist of it. You got it.
Take a giant step and go. KMBR 68. Take a giant step.
Boy, that's an oldie. Okay, well, I'm not getting on there, so screw it. Let's see. Let's get to some of the comments. If managers are upset over the Vitello hire, then who exactly was lining up for a shot at managing the Giants? Well, Don, I think some of these old fogies are just pissed off. Look, the Giants had Bob Melvin, all right? Yeah, Joe Madden's won a World Series. Bob Melvin's got way more wins than Joe Madden as a manager over his career. So let me pull up those manager all-time MLB manager wins, and I will show you what I'm talking about here. Hopefully I didn't managers with the most wins. Here we go. Hopefully Joe Madden's not ahead of Bob Melvin. Otherwise I will. Okay, Bob Melvin is 20th on the list with 1,682 wins. Joe Madden is 1,383. He's got a 532 winning percentage. Bob Melvin has a 514 winning percentage. Okay, a little better. But how did Bob Melvin pan out? If the time for taking a reach was, if not now, when for the Giants? If not now, when? Because they have had Bruce Bochy, Gabe Kapler, and Bob Melvin, and in the last 9 seasons, they've made one playoff appearance, and that was the only winning season they had. So
yeah, and I think maybe he thought, someone else would do it, and he wanted to be the one to make that leap because the guy has had unparalleled success in the college ranks. And if just talking to him, everybody who talks to him seems to think that this guy's a winner. So I don't know that it's that much of a risk compared to the other names that were bandied about, early on in the process. But also, Joe Madden, he was kind of an unorthodox manager himself. Those teams,
yeah, he was. He was.
They didn't do things the traditional way. They were kind of an out of the box thinking team with the openers and just the way he managed. So I don't know that, being so traditional is even what Bob or Joe Madden stands for. So
yeah, and our good friend over at the Glenn Kuiper show did a video the other night on his show about major league managers. Okay, and he looked at all the managers, and he looked at when they were hired, and the longest tenured manager in the big leagues is oh gosh, who was it? I know Dave Roberts was second, I believe.
Is that right? Wow, that's incredible.
Who was the first manager? I'm trying to go by recall. I'm looking here at the teams. Let's see. I don't know who it was, but the thing is Dave Roberts had no managerial experience, minors or majors, when he came in. But
it looks like Dave Roberts is the longest tenured.
Oh, maybe it was Dave Roberts. Maybe it was somebody
the
else.
American League might have somebody else.
But then Stephen Vogt had some coaching experience just prior to becoming a manager. Who, by the way,
of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Kevin Cash is the longest tenured. Thank you.
Yep.
Cash is the longest tenured, and then it's Dave Roberts. Cash at 36 when he was hired. No previous managerial experience in the minors or majors. Okay.
And he took over for who?
He took over for Joe Madden, I believe, right?
Right. Maybe a little sour grapes there. They hired a guy with no experience to replace him.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. By the way, Stephen Vogt, congratulations. He was named Manager of the Year today for the second straight year. So that's a pretty good resume to start your first 2 years as a manager, as manager of the year. So wait a minute. This guy had no experience, and he didn't have to pay much of his dues. I think he was a coach for a year or two, and he somehow ends up as a manager. And Joe had to go through the minors and become a manager. And Joe, do we have?
He was just Stephen Vogt was just a coach for 1 year with the Mariners, and then the Guardians hired him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm wondering if we have anything on Joe. I don't know. I thought we did, but I don't see it. I thought we had a reaction from Joe Madden on the okay, wait a minute. Do we have? Yes, we do. I just found the video. Joe Madden speaking on KMBR earlier this morning via the NorCal Sports Network line. Here's Joe Madden. There he is. Joe, what do you have to say? Get off my lawn, says Joe Madden. Okay, thank you, Joe. Appreciate you showing up here and making an appearance. But Joe was rather boisterous. We couldn't hear the words from Joe, but you could read his lips. He was not happy. Joe said, "Get off my damn lawn." Let's see. So getting back to the Giants here, we've got some comments we'll get to in the chat. Let's see what we got here. George Curry says Roberts was almost fired plenty of times for early exits in the playoffs. Their fans were calling. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He has 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on his squad, which is unheard. Many people could manage them. Yeah. Hey, look, I think everyone in this chat and on this channel could have figured out how to take care of that club, man. Yeah. So it's, yeah. Griffin says he's fired up for this season, and even if we go 62 and 100, I'll be proud. Posey took a real chance here. I expect this to work big time. I think the other ball clubs are jealous of Posey's balls on this one. Yeah, maybe so. Look, hey, there's a possibility, guys. There is a possibility that I could see 2 things going. The Giants are looking to win now, and we'll find out. We'll find out over the next 2 months, right? What the Giants, do they really want to win? Because if you really want to win, there's certain signings you could go out and do in trades, and you can improve your ball club drastically over the course of this winter. So we'll see. But if they do a lot to improve the club, and I'm not talking about 1 deal or 2 deals, I'm talking 4 to 6 deals, okay? I'm talking adding a couple starting pitchers. I'm talking of adding a closer. I'm talking about adding a back end of the bullpen. I'm talking about adding someone to play in the outfield, maybe another infielder. There's a lot that can be done, all right? And by the way, for those of you who missed the beginning, we will have Casey Schmidt join the show tomorrow night right here on NorCal Sports Network. That's right. You heard it here. Casey Schmidt will be here tomorrow at 8:30. I'll put a little deal up there and remind you guys, but they could do a lot of things. And but if they don't, do not be surprised if they go with a similar roster on the position side. And if that roster does not perform up to its expectations and they're not in the race at the deadline, we've already seen Buster sell and bring in a couple of young players, that I could see them saying, okay, these vets are not pulling their weight. We're not going to run it back, which would be for a 3rd straight year it would be a 4th year, really, because Chapman's back for his 3rd year, Devers 2nd year, Adames 2nd year, Lee 3rd year. If these guys do not perform up to the expected standards that they signed them for, I could see Vitello being here to be part of what's finally a rebuild. And okay, we're going to get the best out of younger players. I don't think that's the plan. I think that's plan B.
I think it'll be a hybrid. I think you'll see them rolling with the guys they've signed, but then the other roster spots they're going to be supplementing with younger guys that have a potential for being more athletic and just pushing the envelope as far as their attitude, just mentality. So I think you'll probably see a transition here.
I tend to agree more with George here, but we're going to see if the ownership opens up the pocketbooks. I mean, the bottom line is Greg Johnson should just shut his mouth. Don't say anything, because if you're trying to play a little game of poker by saying we're not going to do this and we're probably not going to spend over $100 million on a pitcher and that's not our thing. And if we're not going to, maybe we'll go over the luxury tax. We'll see. You know what? Just don't say anything. Just say we're committed to winning.
I mean, it's a business. You're going to do what you're going to do, but just don't tell us about it. There's no upside to talking to the media about budgetary things. I mean, let Posey, let the baseball people talk. Jed York used to talk in the media all the time, and he learned eventually that every time he did, he put his foot in his mouth and he would get in trouble. And now you don't hear a peep from Jed York. He doesn't say anything. He lets Lynch and Shanahan handle everything public facing on the team, and he just sits back and signs the checks. And I'm sure, I mean, he definitely has input on the decisions, financial decisions of the team, but we're not privy to that. And he doesn't make it a point to talk in the media anymore. So I think that the Giants ownership would be well suited to follow that same path.
Yeah, I agree. Giants need to hire or trade for Chandler Simpson. That would be great, but I don't think Tampa Bay is looking to trade Chandler Simpson as a rookie last year, a true, get on base guy with tons and tons of speed, potential to steal 100 bases. I had him on one of my fantasy teams last year. He's a pretty good player, but we'll see. Now, Junior 500 says, no, he didn't, Dan. He said no such thing. Listen to T interview. Maybe ran out of HE there. I don't know what Junior 500 is referring to. Do you know what we're talking about there, Dallas? No, he didn't, Dan. Listen to the interview. What are we talking about, Junior 500? What did I say that I'm not sure what interview you're talking about? Mark says, Dan, do you really think they're signing 4 free agents? I don't believe it's going to happen. I think there's got to be a combination, Mark, of 4 signings or trades. There has to be. This team needs a remake. I tend to think they might get at least 4, a combination of whether it's 1 or 2 trades and 1 trade, 3 free agents, or 2 and 2. I think there's going to be 4 new roster players on the 26-man team. I may be wrong. You may be right. That's just my thinking. There's a lot that needs done. Aaron Law says this is precisely their problem. They're trying to develop and win at the same time. Tough to do. Yep. It goes back to pick a lane. The Giants have never truly picked a lane. They've chose look at the San Jose Sharks, what they're doing right now. Okay. You're seeing, if you're not watching, you're missing out. But if you're watching, you're seeing some real hope for the years ahead. You're like, wow, this could be exciting. I can get behind this. I can get behind Macklin Celebrini. I can get behind Will Smith. I can get behind some of the other guys. The Giants, we don't know. They've never, since Buster Posey, had a position player that they have kind of had success with from their farm, that they've said, okay, we found a guy. I mean, Elliot Ramos to a point, but they never hyped Elliot Ramos. They stopped hyping him. They hyped him for so long that he just didn't pan out. Then he just gets put in there and has a great year in 24 because of all the injuries. And then last year he regressed a little. But the Giants, since Buster Posey came up in 2009, that's, what are we talking, 16 years? Name me a player that we were so excited about that you were like, oh, wow. I mean, right now it's Eldridge, right? And now we're having an article put out by John Shea that the Giants may trade him.
Yeah. Well, the rebuild thing, I mean, the Giants, like it or not, they're in the money-making business. They need to sell those tickets. They need to fill that stadium. And a rebuild doesn't sound like it's going to sell that many seats. And they don't want to go much lower than they went not last year, but the year before. It was, I think, the lowest. So they want to maintain the momentum, which means letting fans think that they have a chance to make it, or giving them a chance to make it. Now, they don't have a legitimate chance to catch the Dodgers. I think that's pretty fair to say. But with the 3 wild cards, they definitely have a chance to make the playoffs. And the fact they haven't so frequently is just a disaster. It's just it's inexcusable, honestly. So, and I hope that Posey understands that as well, that it's inexcusable. And that's why he's making these moves and shaking things up, because it's not that hard to make the playoffs in baseball right now. It really isn't. You got to be a little above 500, and you can get into a playoff spot. It really is not that difficult. So they have to set the bar at a certain point that says, here's our expected level of success, and we need to meet that, or there's going to be changes. So so I think the changes are happening, and we have to kind of wait and see how things start to shape up in this next season. But until then, we got a lot of moves that are going to be made here, and that's why the offseason in baseball is so great, because you can see all the what happens after the winter meetings, and how they're going to put this team together.
Yeah. I agree, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff in the chat about getting Devers and doing some of these things, are not looking at a rebuild. I tend to agree. I think but I do think, if you guys hear me out here, I think that if they fail in the first half and are they don't look like a playoff team, you're going to have to do something. You can't just you have to
be really bad to not be a playoff team, though.
Right.
Like, are they going to tank with the people there's, with their payroll, which is pretty good, with their players, which are decent major league players? Are they really going to be 10 games under 500 going into the All-Star break or going into the trade deadline? Probably not. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, Posey this year, even though they had a bad stretch, and so it kind of made the decision for him, but he made the trades that he made, getting rid of his bullpen arms. If they had kept those bullpen arms, they had a decent chance to make it in the end. They wouldn't have gone far in the playoffs, but so having the courage to pull the plug early, if you say, "Oh no, this is not working," and being able to make moves to add some pieces to your team, I think is good, because you have to have that kind of foresight as a GM or president of baseball operations, so that you can help the team. If you have to have an honest assessment of your team as the season goes on, and not be blinded by fandom or hope, that type of thing. You have to look at it analytically and determine, is this team good enough or not, and be able to use that to your advantage to make your team better through moves.
Yes. Robert Rothberg says, Dan, this team will finally make a statement they could win it all. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they do. Look, we're all hoping, right? We're all hoping that they get there, and we'll definitely see. I just got something that one of the listeners sent me. on Twitter, which I actually was going to talk about. So thank you for reminding me of that. I have heard about Luis Matos being his name out there. Is this, someone else asked me, is this the Giants trying to make it like there's a market for Luis Matos? Yes. I think the Giants are trying to make it like they're receiving lots of calls for Luis Matos. Come on. Luis Matos, he's one of my favorite players. I love the guy. But his value is, according to the baseball trade values, is like zero. Okay. So we'll see what's going to happen. We got some other comments in here.
Well, while you read that comment, I'm gonna make a call here on Luis Matos and see.
Okay.
See what it would cost.
Check him out. We're Senior out at the arena in Sacramento tonight, and he is watching a pretty good ball game. Where did it go? I saw his comment in here, and I don't know where it went. But Senior is out at the ball game, Kings and Nuggets, and it has just reached halftime. Nuggets lead the Kings 60-56. There he is. There's Senior. So 60-56, Denver Nuggets over the Sac Kings, and 60-56. D-Loading
we can have him, Dan.
Okay, get him? All right.
We can have
Very
him.
Cool. Oh, thanks. We're talking about tanking on November 11th. Come on, fellas. It's let's have some positivity, says D-Loading. A friend of the show here, makes appearances with Golden State Warriors post games. I don't think we're being too negative. I think we're saying if, unless he's talking to somebody in the chat that I didn't miss, I think we were saying, like, if the Giants are struggling, that we could see them possibly blowing it up. But I think they're going for it. I don't know how they're going to do it. That's why I say really can't make a judgment on what the Giants, how do we predict when we don't even know what they're going to do this offseason, right? So based on the roster as it stands right now, I would say they're fourth place team. No pitching. Okay, it was more so sarcasm. Okay, gotcha. Right now, the roster stands, it's a fourth place team, maybe third if everything went perfectly. You have 2.5 pitchers. You got Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, and Landon Roop, who's yet to prove he can go through a whole season. So where are you going to go from here? So Mark says Arizona's hurting. Yeah, Arizona's hurting. True. And they're looking at possibly trading Ketel Marte. So we'll see where this actually goes. If the Giants and Buster Posey and Zach Manason really put their heads together and get aggressive and become, what they did last year with Devers was huge, right? It was a big, huge move. He's a foundation piece. But he's a foundation piece when your number one prospect kind of plays the same position. At least that's where they're trying to get him to play first. So Devers is going to either DH or play first. And right now, the betting odds would be that Devers is playing more first base than DHing. So do you want to make your 21-year-old rookie a DH full-time? I don't know.
No. I personally think that Bryce Eldridge starts in AAA. I don't think we see him at the beginning of the season. I think that he needs to get his strikeouts under control. He needs to be he needs to be around 25% before they consider bringing him up. Now, if he's hitting the cover off the ball, then maybe we see him earlier. But I think that it makes sense to not rush things until he's ready.
Yeah. Question is, does Matos know he's available? Seriously, Melvin barely played Matos after the Yaz trade. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I don't even know. I'd like to know where that came from. If that was a move from upper front office or if that was Melvin's call, I don't know. But we all thought that was mishandled.
So stupid.
It's just you don't even know what you have. I mean,
we
maybe
had an opportunity to know what we have right now.
Yeah, he might be a bust.
Now he's out of options.
Yeah, he might be a bust, and but you could have found out if he was a bust if you played him and gave him 200 plus at bats the final 2 months.
Yeah, because now they're going to get rid of him, not knowing if he's a bust or not, and he could be good somewhere else.
Yeah, he might bust out somewhere else. He just might. Don Michio says he's trading Eldridge for several pitching prospects and signing Alonso to platoon first base DH with Devers. I don't see that happening, Don. But it's not a crazy thought. But how many first basemen / DHs does this team need? I mean, and I don't know if that makes the most sense trading a young guy that costs nothing for prospects. For pitching prospects.
No, you need proven. You need somebody proven.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, appreciate that. You know what I'd like to do is I'd like to pull up some possible trades that was just going through my mind. And let me see if I can pull those up while I do. Do you see any other moves that you would like to see, Dallas?
Well, Robert Rothberg says Dan Birdsong said he's ready to come back. I didn't hear that, but I did hear them talking about that on the podcast.
I heard Logan Webb talking about him. Yeah,
Birdsong potentially being a closer, and I don't much care for that idea. I think the kid is good enough to give you
closer.
Right, and if he can get his command back, then why do you want him pitching just one inning? He's got the potential to be able to give you 6 innings. So, and being able to get through that rotation multiple times. So I'm not ready to give up on Birdsong as a starter yet, because I think he really has solid potential for that.
Yeah, I agree. I have heard some people talk about Bryce Harper at the Phillies, that he might not be happy. He's friends with Tony Vitello. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but just for the heck of it, I'll see what it looks like to try and go after a Bryce Harper. It doesn't look like it would take as much as you might think, because Bryce Harper's contract is pretty huge with many years left to go. And I'm just trying to see what he's actually rated, because where is he? Oh, he's a negative 5.5.
If the Giants were going to sign Alonso, they would have done it last year.
Yeah.
In fact, they didn't. I mean, now they have another first baseman, and Eldridge is even closer to getting here. That was the reason why they wouldn't consider a first baseman last time. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't think it would take Bryce Eldridge for Bryce Harper, personally, because of the contract. I don't think the Phillies could ask for a ton back when you look at his trade value. But, if you wanted to go for it and put Bryce back in the outfield and you started loading up with some guys, you got to find another hitter or two to stretch this lineup. You got to get Chapman out of the top 5 in the order. You just have to. You got to get Chapman down at tops 6. but ideally 7. If you can get Chapman to 7 in this lineup, then you may be onto something. Insane Sports says, I think the Phillies will just try to dump his contract, not really ask for that much in return. It's kind of what they did with Boston. Look, guys, if Boston Red Sox got rid of Devers at his age, and Bryce Harper, he's in his 30s now. What is Bryce Harper? He's got to be like 33, isn't he? 32, 33. Let me look. Bryce Harper.
33.
33. Yeah, that's about the time the production. We're already seeing a decline in his production, and he's been hurt a lot the last couple years. They're losing JT Realmuto. They're losing Ranger Suarez to free agency. They may be losing Kyle Tucker. What are the Phillies going to do? Are they going to try and re-sign Tucker? Are they going, not Tucker, Schwarber. Did I say Tucker the first time? I don't know if I did or not. Kyle Schwarber is a free agent. Are they going to re-sign Kyle Schwarber? Are they going to, if they don't sign Schwarber and they don't sign Suarez, which it doesn't look like they will, they've got some young pitchers coming up from the minors that are ready to go. But I don't know. And I don't know if Bryce Harper's really the answer. I don't think he is for the Giants because of the ballpark. He did hit some moonshots off of Hunter Strickland. I don't know if those were at Oracle or in Washington, but I'm not sure another older guy like Harper is the answer. I don't think that's where the Giants want to go. I really don't. They've already got older guys in Chapman and Willie's not super old. I think he's only going to be 30, right? Willie Adames? Isn't he going to be 30? Wasn't he 29 last year? I think he was. Willie Adames, born in 95. Yeah, he's going to be 30. He just turned 30 in September. So Willie's 30. So Willie's 30. Devers is going to be 29. Chapman's going to be 33 or 4 next year. What is Chapman? Let's look at Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman is, I think he turns in April. He'll be 33 in April. So he's kind of at that age where, and he signed for a long-term deal. I don't see the Giants signing older players or trading for older players in their 30s that still have 5 years or whatever left to go on their contract. That's just, asking for that's a disaster waiting to happen. I think the Giants are going to go on the margins with some guys. I think they try to make some pitching trade. I think the Giants sign a starting pitcher from the free agent market, and I think they try and trade for one. And I'm not trading Bryce Eldridge for some number 3 or 4 starter. Not going to do that. I'm looking, if I'm trading Bryce Eldridge in a deal, then it's going to be a number 1 coming back. It's going to be somebody that's controllable for a few years and is a 1 or a 2. No lower than a 2. And if you're trading Bryce Eldridge for a position player, then it's going to have to be an established starter. So, Graham Gilbrecht says, would you trade Eldridge for Quan? I would definitely look at that, but I don't think the Cleveland Guardians will do that because Kwon's value is greater than that of Bryce Eldridge. In fact, I will just show you in a straight up swap what that looks like so you can see what I'm talking about. So if you went for Stephen Kwon, let me pull this up for you guys. It'll take me a moment. Well, actually, Stephen Kwon's value has dropped tremendously. So I take that back. His value has crashed compared to what it was a year ago. So if you want to look at that, Bryce Eldridge's value is gone up. So just to show you what the trade machine says, you would not make that trade if you're the Giants. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Give me one sec. Here you go. Okay, so you see the values there? You would not make that trade at all if you're the Giants. That would be nuts. What you would be asking for if you're the Giants, if you were going to give up Eldridge in the deal, you would want another player from the Guardians, and you would want somebody like a Cade Smith, who's a closer, or an outfielder like Chase DeLauder, who we saw come up. So I don't think that's necessary. What's more likely, if you wanted to do a trade for, and again, we're just surmising here that do the Guardians even want to get rid of a Stephen Kwon? Who knows? Just because we think he'd fit great in the Giants outfield doesn't mean the Guardians is going to say yes. So what if we trade Chapman and Eldridge for Kwon and Ramirez? Now, why would the Indians do that, or the Guardians? Why would they want Chapman when they got Ramirez? I mean, Ramirez is cheaper than Chapman. Why would you do that? I mean, just because it helps the Giants, Don, I mean, that would be great. But, yeah, you're getting the more value. I see what you're saying in Eldridge over Kwon. The value's there. I'll just throw it up there and just look at it, see what it looks like. I don't think the Guardians would do it, but let's just throw it out there just to for fun, right? Okay. So because Chapman's value, I'm going to have to look for Matt Chapman far down this list, I have a feeling, because I don't think anybody wants that contract of Matt Chapman for his production and what it cost. Matt Chapman is not on page 1, 2, or 3, so I'm just going to skip to page 5. And do we find Matt Chapman? Yes, we do. He's at the bottom, along with Rafi Devers, who's at the worst value. See, teams don't want these fat contracts. They're getting rid of these contracts. So let's just take a look. Okay, so this would not work out. And here's why this would not work out. It's because of Matt Chapman. There you have it. 66 value that the Giants receive. Look at Ramirez. Okay, talk about Ramirez and talk about Chapman. Look at the difference. Minus 12 to plus 41. Let's take a look at let's just take a look at the contract for Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is making $21 million next year, and then $23 million in 27 and 25 and 28. Now, Chapman is making 25, for the next 5 years. So he's got 2 more years of control, Chapman. But why is Chapman a -12 and Ramirez is a +41? Well, it's because Matt Chapman's not productive offensively, guys. He's just Jose Ramirez is a top 5 player in the game. Jose Ramirez is incredible. So nobody wants Chapman. How do you get rid of a Matt Chapman? Well, you're partly right there, Don. You include a Bryce Eldridge and you get back less. You might get a Quan and you might get somebody else, but you're not getting a superstar with Matt Chapman. The only way to get rid of Matt Chapman is pretty much why the Red Sox got rid of Devers. What did the Red Sox get in? They got nothing. They got what's the pitcher's name? I've already forgot about him. Not Harrison. I like Harrison, but the guy that was our starter, the bullpen guy that we couldn't handle. What was his name again? He started for the Giants last year, and we signed him as a free agent. What's his name? Why can't Hicks? I was saying Hayes. Jordan Hicks. They got Jordan Hicks. They got the lefty that they drafted in the first round a couple years ago, and they traded him to the Dodgers. The Red Sox did. And they got some other minor leaguer, and they got Kyle Harrison. So, and they gave up Rafi Devers. Why? Why did they give up Rafi Devers? They gave up Rafi Devers because they didn't want that contract anymore. Dallas, we lost him. He must have had a connection issue. I'm sure he'll bounce right back in. So, James Tibbs, that was the guy. Yeah. So, Tibbs. We'll see where that goes. So Dallas Mike was not working. We'll see if it's working now. Do I get the thumbs up? Is it working? Okay. So we bring in the voice.
It's working. Can you hear me?
We can. There it is. All right. So
Dallas was trying to talk. I was saying Hicks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And,
I was like,
and you're like, what was his name?
So yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think the Giants will look to do some moves. What would I like to see the Giants do? And we'll close with that. We'll close with Dallas's wish list and my wish list. Okay, my wish list starts with starting pitcher, and it's
hold on 1 second.
All right,
let me fire up the hype train. All right, the hype train's fired up.
All right. Okay. So my wish list starts with starting pitching. And I want Ranger Suarez, 30-year-old.
That's mine.
All right. And I want Shota Imanaga as my lefty. Those are my 2 pitchers that I would like. And then go ahead and sign Max Scherzer. I'm good with that. And then let's go with the rotation of Webb and Ray and Suarez and Imanaga and Roop. And we have Max Scherzer in the background. And we've got a couple of the other guys that we've talked about, the McDonalds of the world, the Keaton Wins. Not the Mason Blacks. By the way, the Giants traded Mason Black today for a guy by the name of Logan Martin from the Kansas City Royals. Martin is an SEC guy, played at the University of Kentucky. Not a big strikeout guy, a little less than 1K per 9 or 1K per inning. I think he's about eight strikeouts per 9 innings, something like that. ERA the last couple years in A ball and high A ball in the mid 3s. He's down in the Arizona Fall League right now, where he's struggled in 5 starts. He's given up 12 runs in 11 innings. So his ERA is like 9.8. But he's 23. He's not going to take up a roster spot like Mason Black did. So you're exchanging a guy that you already know about. And look, he's an SEC pitcher. So maybe Tony had some insight into this. I don't know. But so that's that news. So I'm looking at my pitchers, Suarez and Imanaga. That's my hope. And if you don't get another pitcher that's out there, you can, if you get one of those guys, then maybe you go after somebody like a Chris Bassett, a 37-year-old who pitched for the Blue Jays last year, may not cost as much. A Zach Gallen, a Merrill Kelly type, okay? But I got to have at least Valdez or Imanaga, okay? I mean, not Valdez, Suarez. I got to have one of those lefties. All right? Now, my next move, and then what I want for the Giants to do is I obviously would love Kyle Tucker. Don't think that happens. So the outfield, I think they need a center fielder to help out. I don't think Jung-Hoo Lee, he was one of the worst center fielders in baseball last year. Very bad jumps on many occasions, was like 26th or 28th ranked center fielder for defensive runs saved. He wasn't that great. So I like a Harrison Bader out there. He's only 32, had a WAR of over 4.4 last year. I like Bader in center field. Now, if you
like
want
him too,
and then and he's the type of player that just fits like the Giants, right? He's going to fit Tony Vitello like a glove. Now, there's a lot of talk about going out and trading for I think it's what am I thinking here? Brendan Donovan. Yeah. Second base, possibly. There's people talking about that. We'll see. But I think if you go get, my relievers. I think the Giants, I could see them having a reunion with the Tyler Rogers, and I think they need a closer. I think there's 2 closers out there that are gettable. Devin Williams and Kenley Jansen. I like Kenley Jansen because he's a proven veteran, had 30 save chances last year and got 29. So that's a good year, and he's a veteran. Now, he is pretty bad holding runners on base, and he does let runners on base, but he seems to work himself out of it the most of the time. So I think a Raisel Iglesias with the Braves is a possibility. You need a closer. I don't even know if Ryan Walker's, if he makes a team, he's got to be a guy that starts the season as, just one of the last guys on the team, the last guys in the bullpen. He's got to be one of those guys that you go, okay, we're down 6, bring in Rogers. Okay, we're up 6. All right, it's safe to bring in Walker. And the other guy that I could see the Giants bringing back is Tyler Rogers. So I think they need a closer, whether that's Jansen or Devin Williams. I kind of prefer, I'd love to see him do both personally. Get me Devin Williams for the 8th inning where he excelled with the Brewers, and get me Kenley Jansen in the 9th, and go ahead and sign Rogers, and let's spend some money on this team.
Then you got a bullpen for sure.
You got a bullpen. And if you'd sign the other two guys that I talked about, then you got a rotation. Now you're cooking. What do you say, Dallas? What's your wish list?
I mean, I don't see them doing that. If they get a closer, we'll be lucky. But it looks like they're leaning towards getting a bunch of pitchers, a bunch of bullpen people, getting them all in spring training, and then seeing which ones float. Eric Miller, and maybe they tender a contract to Lucchesi for the lefties. Right-handers, I don't know, but they picked up the pitcher today. He's going to be in the mix. They have
no, he won't be in the mix. He's an A. He's a
double A ball.
He'll be a double A. He'll be double A next year.
Who do they pick up? They just picked somebody up. Who was it? Giants transactions.
Take a look. Mark, while you're doing that, Mark, he never really did get his stuff back last year. Rough year for Devin Williams. Not sure if it was New York.
Oh, Reaver San Martin.
What's that?
Reaver San Martin. He's the other guy they picked up.
Okay.
With Justin Dean off of waivers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but they're going to collect a bunch of arms and
Senior says
kind of have
Giants will get Giolito and you'll be happy with it. Yeah.
And then I completely agree with your selections. I mean, they just need a couple of proven starting pitchers, 2. And then if you want to get Scherzer also, great. But you need 2 pitchers to solidify that rotation. And if you get a third, wonderful. But they need depth at the starting pitching. We need to go into this season feeling like every single day you could win.
Yes.
You can't rely on Birdsong. Roop you can have a place for, but I think just one of those 5 spots. One of those 5 spots you have the unproven guys. But if Kaiwei Tang is in your starting rotation or McDonald or any of those guys, then you're in bad trouble.
Yeah.
So that can't be.
Where does Tucker go if not LA? Okay, I've got 2 spots for you for Kyle Tucker. One of them depends on Cody Bellinger. If Cody Bellinger leaves the Yankees, I think Tucker could land in pinstripes with that short right field porch where he will excel. Does create a little bit of a problem for the Yankees outfield, though, because Tucker's more of a right fielder, and so is Aaron Judge. Do you want to put Aaron Judge back in center field? Ideally not. So we'll see where that goes.
You find a spot, you make it work.
You make it work.
I don't see that being a problem.
You make it
but
work.
There's not that many people, not that many teams with that big of a checkbook, and it looks like the Dodgers are not going to go that route. Now they could surprise us and go ahead and do it anyway.
You don't think the Dodgers are going to go after Kyle Tucker?
From what I read today, they don't want to do a 10-year deal. They want to sign guys 3. Otani and Yamamoto were the exceptions, with the 10 and 12-year contracts, but they don't want to go that long term. So,
well, I don't know.
Now maybe they pay him more and sign him for 4 years and just, sweeten the deal.
Give him like $60 million a year for 4 years.
Sure.
240
that, and then
240, and then he can re-enter
another
free
big
agency.
Deal. Yeah,
get another big deal at like age 32.
Mm-hmm. So that could happen, but I don't know. If the Dodgers are not in on him, and if the Yankees aren't in on him, maybe his price drops a little bit.
Yeah, I can see Toronto in on. I can see Toronto in on Kyle Tucker.
Yeah,
I could. So you see Giants punting on right field. No, I don't think they will punt. I think if they go after a Harrison Bader, they move Jung-Hoo Lee to right.
Ideally, I would like to see that. If they could get a better defensive center fielder, then your outfield in general, the defense gets better because you do need to compensate for your left fielder.
Los is in the house. All right, guys. I didn't see Los. Los makes a good point. Let's see. Robert Boyd says like and subscribe. Yes, thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. Robert says, "What up, Dan in Dallas?" Yes, good to see you, Robert. Go Sharks, go. Let's see. Los makes a good point. Where was it? Okay. He says, I was saying Harrison could have been a closer before he was traded. Los makes a good point about Birdsong as well. Make him a solid reliever. You could. I mean, he could be like an Emmett Sheehan, right? Emmett Sheehan's kind of a slash starter bullpen guy when you need him.
Yeah, and Birdsong excelled in the bullpen last year when he, when there wasn't a spot for him in the rotation initially.
Right.
But I just like him as a starter. I don't want to rule him out as far as that goes yet. But if they do sign several, automatic, veteran pitchers that you're confident in, then Birdsong might not have a place in the rotation. He might, and if he has his control back, then he might need to go to the bullpen, which would be wonderful. I mean, the deeper the bullpen the Giants have, if you have guys that can come in and give you 2-3 innings, that's invaluable. So if Birdsong, I would be happy no matter where he is. If he's a productive member of the 2026 Giants, that would be huge.
Yes. And Robert says the Sharks are rolling. Yes, we need to get Ned Coletti on here, talk about baseball, also talk a little hockey. Look at the San Jose Sharks here as they are, as it stands today, in the Western Conference. They are in playoff position with 19 points, guys. 19 points. The Sharks are now 8-6-3. I kind of love the new overtime rules where you get there's always going to be a point, right? If you get into overtime, you only don't get a point if you lose. So you get 1 point for a tie, but you still get 2 points if you win in overtime. So Sharks they started horrible. What were they, Robert? Weren't they like 0-5 or 6 to start the season? Something like that. I can't remember. Plus a couple of ties. Didn't they go like 6 or 7 games to start the season before they actually won a game? Yes. Hey man, we got it. 0-6. Yeah, they were 0-6. I thought so. Hey man, Los and I have talked about this. You've heard Los and I on this show. We think the Sharks actually picked a lane. They chose a lane, and they got rid of some high-priced veterans. They made a run at the Cup. They got to the Stanley Cup Finals. They lost in the Stanley Cup, and they just couldn't get it going. They started trading off older vets that were still had value, and they picked up good draft picks, and they finished, at the bottom of the league, and they picked up Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, and their number 1 pick last year, the kid. What's going on with that kid that they picked up last year? Didn't they draft a goalie, a left-handed goalie or something, with one of their top picks? I need my hockey guys who are my hockey guys are Robert Boyd and Cliff Martinez. They are the true hockey guys, and they know everything going on with hockey and the Sharks. But I think the Sharks used their number 1 pick on a goalie, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's probably playing in the minors. But so let's see. Hiroku says Dusty was there the last 2 years. Bochy isn't going to change jack in San Francisco. It'll all be on the manager and his coaches. Yeah, look, these guys are just there for some input. They're not going to be around a lot. They're just.
It also depends on the manager to pick up the phone. If Vitello wants advice and he wants to talk to Dusty and Bochy, then he'll be able to. But I don't think Bob Melvin was picking up the phone and asking Dusty Baker what he thought. So
right.
I don't think Dusty did a whole lot. But it's going to be up to the manager to decide how he wants to utilize those guys. But having them there is useful, I think.
Yeah, and this is something that Los and I have harped on and harped on and harped on. You look at OKC, what they did. They loaded up. They chose a lane. They were awful for years. And now they're going to be back-to-back champions like the Warriors were in 16 and 17 seasons. Nobody's beaten OKC this year if they stay healthy. I'm sorry. They just blitzkrieged the Warriors tonight. And they're just whomping on everybody. They traded Paul George for a young, unproven SGA and picks. And where are they? Buy low, sell high. Absolutely. It's something that we've talked about on this show over and over again. The Giants right now, they're kind of in this win mode now with when you trade for Devers and all of that. And you sign Chapman and Adames and Lee. So if you're going to go that lane, then doggone it, get in that fast lane and go. Step on the gas and go. You've already kind of committed. Now it's boom or bust. In my opinion, the Giants are in a boom or bust mode the next couple of seasons. They have to either go for it or blow it up and start over. But stop this middling. You added guys with no trade deals. You got to go for it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see the moves they make because they just spent a lot of money on a manager. This, by cutting Melvin, you're having to pay his last year. Plus, you had to pay Vitello's buy out of his contract, and you got to pay him. So it's going to be. You've already invested some money this year. If you don't give him the tools to succeed, he's not going to succeed. I don't care how inspirational he is as a speaker. It's not going to happen. So if you're going to spend the money to get this guy, you better give him some players, and it's going to be up to Posey to make that happen. So we better see that this offseason. They need a rotation, and they need something else.
Yep.
A little something else.
Yep. Hey, guys, we're going to wrap it up. But tomorrow night, right here on NorCal Sports Network, Giants starting second baseman Casey Schmidt to join us live at 8:30 tomorrow night. So make sure you're here. You'll be able to ask questions of Casey. Be prepared.
Unbelievable.
Might have a lot of questions. So if you really want to get those questions answered, you'll probably have to do a super chat or something because I want to dedicate most of the time to, talking with Casey. We will have Cody from Even Year Dynasty Show join us. So look for tomorrow night. We'll be doing a co-stream with Cody from Even Year Dynasty Show with Casey Schmidt. Casey's a friend of the show. He's been on here a couple of times before. And
I'll be in the chat with you guys, typing away ferociously.
There we go. So, guys, it's a different type of vibe for Casey coming this year. Last year, if you recall, he was on the show in the offseason. He was just wanted to make the team. He just wanted to make sure he was on the team. Now he's established himself as a big league player and a starter, and that would be my wish, Hiroku. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's the smartest move the Giants could do. The smartest move is the Giants go out and land a really true bona fide second baseman and somehow trade Chapman and put Casey at third, his natural position, and you save some of that money. And
I'm sure Dan will be asking Casey about that tomorrow night.
I will not. I will not be asking that question tomorrow night. I will be focused on Casey Schmidt as a second baseman for the Giants. And, look, ask Casey what he's thinking if we sign Bo Bichette. He's probably don't want to hear his answer. I'm sure, look, guys.
I think Casey would be happy if the ink was drying on the contract with the Blue Jays right now.
Yeah. Yep. Mark Graves says, Even Year Dynasty has a lot of Giants young prospects on for interviews. Subscribe to Even Year Dynasty. Absolutely. They do a great job over there. That's led by Cody, Dan, and Ricky. And so they're very, very established, well-spoken, knowledgeable of the organization, okay?
Yeah.
And players.
Now, can you answer a question for me? This year coming up is which season? The
2026.
2026. That's an even year.
Yes, that's an even year. So maybe the even year dynasty starts up. Yes. So we shall see. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. Remember, 8:30 tomorrow night. Mark your calendars. And we look forward to having you here with us, along with Casey Schmidt. And we'll ask him about Tony Vitello, and we'll talk to him about what it's like to prepare for the offseason, knowing his role going in. Talk about what he, hopes to see. Maybe he's hoping for some players to join the Giants. I probably won't talk to him about being. Well, I probably will. I'll probably ask him. Just
ask him what's his moving to play second base. What is he working on this offseason?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to ask that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
So I will ask Casey about the possibility of if his name comes up in a trade. How do you handle that? Because there is rumors that float around that people put out that Casey could be traded, and it's possible. You never know, because he is an excellent third baseman, and it's a position a lot of teams lack, and so we'll see.
And ask him if he counts that second grand slam against Kike Hernandez as much as the first one.
Well, you know who the first one came off of, right?
Yamamoto.
Yeah, Yamamoto. I'm sure that would be kind of a funny question. Yeah. Yeah, that would be a funny question. So, yeah. So
that'll be fun tomorrow.
Yeah.
8:30 appointment viewing.
Yeah. What if he's traded tomorrow afternoon? Well, shoot, that would suck. But you know what? I don't think any trades are coming down this soon. But they are at the GM meetings.
They're GM meetings, yeah. But generally, they the moves come afterward.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. All right. Your final comments, get them in before we close out the show. Be looking for some videos tomorrow. When Casey's on, can you send the link? Send the link, Dan. I didn't get the link. I want to ask the top 5 Great America rides of all time. Okay, that is our friend Chardal. Other being disguised as Aaron Lost. Thank you, Chardal. Send the link, Dan. Can you join? Yes. Keep asking for that link tomorrow night. So good talking with you guys. Thanks, George. Good to see you or hear from you. We don't see you guys, but we hear from you. Appreciate it. And what else do we got? Final thoughts. All right, guys. So catch us tomorrow with Casey Schmidt. Have a great night, everybody.